Every day, thousands of people dial 911. Most calls are routine accidents, arguments, emergencies. But some calls should have never been made. Because sometimes the person calling for help doesn't understand what they're dealing with. And sometimes neither do the police. Tonight you're gonna hear stories inspired by real 911 calls. Calls filled with fear, confusion, and something else. Something unexplainable. These are calls that didn't make sense. Welcome to Beyond the Darkness podcast. 911 calls, Aaron. Man, how you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing pretty good. Actually quite excited about the episode today.
I mean, supernatural 911 calls.
Yeah, I've seen a few videos about these things, some very, very eerie 911 calls. And I'm quite ready to tell a few stories.
You know, thousands of people call 911 every day. It's usually the same stuff, arguments, things like this. You have to know that there has to be some supernatural calls out there. And we dig deep into this episode, and we actually found a couple eerie, if you want to say, 911 calls. Now, some of these calls happen here in the United States. There's one that happened in Mexico. There's one that happened in Spain. We went through a big list, and we kind of, picked the best for this episode. But I'm telling you, there's hundreds of 911 calls, hundreds of, supernatural or something that had, a dark force behind. You told me earlier that you had a story
Yes.
about a 911 call as well. And we're going to get into all that today. I hope you guys like this episode, and I hope you find this 911 calls a bit disturbing like we did. So let's get into it.
You see, this story happened in 2005. This female by the name of Susan unfortunately had an accident, and in the vehicle was her son. The accident was quite bad. Her son fatally passed away. As the days went, she closed herself off to the people. She got depressed, missing her child. A few months had passed. She decided to go to a few mediums, try to see if she can speak to her son. The mediums, of course, informed her that once she opens the doors, they can't close. So one night she's at home. It's around 2:35 in the morning when she gets a phone call. When she answers the phone call, she hears the voice of her son. "Wake up, mommy. What are you doing?" She starts crying and bawling. She thinks to herself, "Oh my God, it's my son." She asks him, "Where are you?" He says, "Mommy, it's dark. Help me, mommy. I love you, mommy." And then the phone hangs up. After that, she calls 911. 911 gets to her house. They start looking around to investigate, and they find out that the child had passed away. Now, she kept telling the cops that her son needs help. He needs help. They then recommended for her to speak to a psychiatrist. They thought maybe it's her depression getting to her. So she goes to a psychiatrist. After a few days, speaking with the psychiatrist, she ends up getting another call at the exact same time, 2:35. The call again, the voice was her child. Her little boy saying, "Mommy, where are you? Come with me, mommy." She kept crying. But as the days went by, she would get the phone call every single night at 2:35 in the morning. One day, a psychiatrist, quite worried because she stopped showing up to the meetings, she made a call to the officers, asked if they could do a welfare check on this female. She was quite worried because, of course, her depression seemed like she might be a bit suicidal.
Okay.
So the officers make their way to the home. The house is unlocked. They knocked, but no answer. So they go in. Of course, they go in talking about welfare check, just trying to see if everybody's safe, everybody's okay. They look around the house, they don't see anything. They go upstairs. Now, when they get to her room, they open the door. They find the woman hanging from her ceiling fan. On her hand, a phone clenched tight, and a note on the dresser. She's going to him.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now, in this story, she's getting a call from her son at 2-something a.m., like you said, right?
Yes, sir.
And the son said, "Mommy, wake up." Do you think it was the son calling, though?
That's the thing, man. Sometimes you don't know if it's a child Or it might be something else giving her a call.
Just playing with her emotions, man. Making her, do something crazy like she did.
Committed suicide after so many calls.
Can you imagine just walking into that house and finding that a lady or, a person hanging? Now, in this case that you're saying, I mean, the part where she told, the psychiatrist, I'm getting a call from my son that had passed away already. Because how long before this happened had the son passed away?
I believe it was 7 months.
7 months. It's just crazy how, it's not that it's crazy, but it's hard to, move on when you lose a child.
It's devastating, man.
But then to get, something come at you and play with you like this, make it seem like it's your son. Because I think we've heard this many times where, someone loses, a loved one, and then they start seeing, something moving in the house. And the first thing they always think, it's that loved one that just left. It's him giving us signs that they're here, but you don't really know if those signs are coming from your loved one or those signs are actually from someone that wants to get your attention. And once they have your attention, you're in it, man. You're in it.
Oh yeah, man.
I just finished seeing the movie Heredity, or what's it called? I don't know if you heard about it.
I have not.
Heredity, or
Heredity?
Yeah, I think that's the name of the movie. And in this movie, long story short, it's about a family that the grandma from the family was like a well-known witch.
Yeah.
Well, to the witch community, not to the family. The family, I don't know if they had a clue that she was a witch. But there's a moment in the movie where the family, they lose their daughter. And the daughter's like 6 or 8 years old. And, she dies of a very tragic way, man. Like, very tragic. I think the brother takes her with him to a party. And in this party, the little girl was allergic to nuts. And I think she consumed like a chocolate brownie or something that had nuts. And she starts getting like what's it called?
Allergic reaction?
Yeah, an allergic reaction. So the brother puts her in the car with him, and he starts driving to a hospital somewhere, and she's choking. She's like, she can't breathe. So she opens up the window and takes her head out to kind of get air, and then her head hits like one of those light poles or something, and she dies. Like, she loses her head.
Oh damn!
Like, it's crazy. Yeah, the movie's fucking crazy. But there's a part in the movie where the mom starts hearing noises in the house, and then like there's this other lady that tries to tell her, like a medium, it's your daughter, do this and that, and you're gonna get to talk to your daughter and I don't know what. But in reality, that lady is a fucking witch, and the spirit that's in the house is not her daughter. It's like an evil demon that's just lurking in the house. So the fucking movie gets so fucking crazy. Like, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you see that movie. But I bring it because it's something close to what your story is about. They lost a child, get a call from their child, and she's going crazy because she's thinking it's her child. I mean, what if she hang herself because the child tells her, if you hang yourself, mommy, you're gonna be with me, or we don't know. We don't know what happens. But it's just it's scary.
Well, man, my sister passed away some years ago from leukemia.
Okay.
After her passing, my mother started seeing lights flickering in the house, and she also believed it might have been my sister. But I told her many times, do not entertain it. You do not know what it is. Now, I don't know what it is exactly either.
Yeah.
But no matter what it can be, you do not want to entertain something like that.
I think that when something like this happens, something unfortunate like this happens, sometimes evil beings out there know that's the perfect time to take advantage of you.
Find a weak spot.
Yeah. I think that's when they know you're the easiest target. You're at your easiest point, to get your attention and fake something for you to think, it's my loved one, it's my daughter, it's my sister, it's my brother, it's my grandpa.
Yeah.
Because that's something that happens to millions of people when they lose someone. You hear a little wind in your house, something moves in, it's like, oh, it's grandpa.
No, yeah, people always believe things like, let's say when you see butterflies, most people think, oh, that's my loved one as well.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
Yeah, there's different signs that we see out there that sometimes, we want to attach them to our loved ones. Your grandma passed away and she liked, I don't know, birds. Next thing you know, there's a bird in your window and it's grandma.
You know about that? Canaries are sometimes what people tend to see most.
Okay.
And they tend to relate it to, dead relatives.
Yeah.
Like a cousin of mine tends to relate because my cousin passed away.
Uh-huh.
This was in a car accident about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And every time they see a canary, they say it's him watching over them.
It's because sometimes, signs like this kind of bring people peace at the same time. And who are we to, blame him for this?
Yeah.
It's an innocent, thing that we do. And sometimes it does help us with the grieving parts of, someone passing. It puts you at ease, that they're in a better place. Or you just see, something like this. I've seen videos of people like at funeral homes where a bird just stops by as they're, they're next to the casket, and everybody, you can tell they feel kind of a joy because they think it's, that family member. Now, this 911 call that you had, or this story that you have where they, call the police because this lady's hearing all this stuff, or they, she says that, her son's calling her. It's kind of crazy. And I can just imagine, the officers arriving like, what do you mean, ma'am? You got a call from your son, and then boom, they find out her son passed away. I can just imagine the officer, at that moment.
Oh, yeah. Well, imagine it trips them out to a point where they have to ask her to go to a psychiatrist so she can get, these things out of her head.
Yeah, like proper help.
Yeah, proper help.
Now, I can't say 911 call because it didn't happen here in the States. It happened in Spain. I don't know if they call 911 over there or they just call a police station. But this case was very famous in the 90s. It happened in 1990. It actually happened in a place called Vallecas, where a 18-year-old girl named Estefania and friends used a Ouija board at school to contact a friend's deceased boyfriend. Their teacher interrupted them, using the Ouija board. And what the teacher does is she breaks the board because she panicked. Like in the moment she panicked, she saw a Ouija board and, she just panicked. She breaks the Ouija board and she reports to the parents that she witnessed smoke enter Estefania's nose and mouth from the Ouija board.
Crap.
Mind you, when this happens, they haven't called the police. Nothing bad has happened but the incident in school. After this incident, Estefania starts suffering from like hallucinations, seizures. She would hear voices. She started telling her parents she would see evil shadows in her room. By August 1991, she passed away.
You think it might have been that?
Well, this is where, the eerie stuff started to happen. Following her death, the family reported objects moving in the house. They called the police.
Yeah.
So they called the police because they come to their home one day and kitchen cabinets start opening up. The phone from the house or the TV, whatever, started turning on, and things like different stuff started to happen in the house, kind of like a poltergeist.
Yeah. Some unexplained things.
Yeah. So they called the police, and when the officers arrived, 2 officers arrived to the house. As they're talking to the officers, one of the officers tells them, "Well, maybe, ma'am, I know it's been a tough year for you guys. You lost your daughter, but sometimes when we're going through a tragedy, we experience, hallucinations. We start, hearing things." So the guy's trying to calm down the parents, but as he's doing this, they had a portrait in the wall of the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
It just flew from one side to another and just shattered in the floor.
Oh.
So the officers just told the family, "Okay, we need to go outside." Like they panicked and they went outside. From there, like a lot of different things started to happen to the family. Like they couldn't sleep because at night they still heard noises, and it wasn't like, "Oh, it's our daughter." No, it was something evil in that house.
Oh, yeah. Playing with that Ouija board, maybe something followed her home.
Now, after, they're outside of the house, one of the investigators that arrived, his name I think was Jose Pedro Negri, that was his name. He and 2 more officers went into the house, and in his report, he put down uncontrollable phenomena is happening in this house. Wardrobe doors were opening, the portrait that fell down, but they reported they found like a sticky substance forming in the blankets. Like a black sticky substance was forming in some of the blankets. When they go to the room where the daughter used to sleep, because the parents, what they did is they never
touched her room.
No, they left everything as it was in her room. When they go into her room, well, before they go into the room, they tell the parents, whose room is this? And the parents tell her, "Well, that's Estefania's room, their daughter. Is it okay we go in here? And they're like, since she's passed away, we don't go into that room. Like, we just keep the door closed. But yeah, sure, like, let's go into the room. When they go into the room, the first thing that comes to them is like a off smell of like something dying in there. So as they came in, they were surprised by this, bad smell of something like rotting or like something dying in there.
Yeah.
That smell wasn't anywhere in the house. That's like the crazy part. Because when something dies in a room, let's say for instance, a mouse dies or you have a plate of like bad food or whatever the case, it usually lingers around the house, right?
Yeah, the smell spreads, yeah.
They say they were in the hallway and there was no smell, no nothing. As soon as they opened the door, the smell didn't come out. It was when you would walk into the room, that's when you would get this awful smell. So the next thing they see in the room is her blanket was filled with this like dark, sticky liquid thing. It was like a substance that he says it's like a tar type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was all the blanket was fucking filthy with it. Like all the blanket had that liquid, had that like that residue. Her mirror in her room, she had a vanity.
Yeah.
The mirror had like stains of the black thing like all over the vanity. Like it was a bunch of bad shit in her room. Now the parents, like I told you, they never went into this room. They would never visit her room because, they didn't just. I think they didn't want to, get the memories from her daughter.
Of course.
So, yeah, everything in her room was fucking messed up. This case, I think, is considered one of the most famous poltergeist cases in Spain. In 2017, Netflix actually made a movie. I don't know if you ever heard of the movie Veronica.
I believe so.
So this movie was actually made because of this girl, Estefania. I've seen Veronica, the movie, bro. And I'll tell you what, when I saw that movie,
Yeah.
I saw it because a friend of my wife, I think, told us, hey, watch this movie on Netflix. It's about, a girl that gets possessed. When I saw the movie, bro, I was like, damn, like this is the first time I see like a movie from Spain that actually like hit to me.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There might be more good movies from Spain, but to me, usually when you get a movie about, a possession or things like that, they're usually from the States.
Yeah.
When I saw this movie, I panicked. I was like, damn, like this is crazy. It's kind of like watching a Conjuring movie, one of those. The worst thing about the movie was when it ends, it tells you it's based on a true story and they give you the name of Estefania. But this is a call, like it didn't happen in the moment. It happened almost months after the girl passed away. That's when all this shit started to happen in the house.
Right now you talked about the smell. They speak about how it smells like sulfur.
Yeah.
Once, there's a spirit there or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that smell might have been, a sulfuric smell, something terrible like that.
Now getting into this case, right? So the girl is playing Ouija board with a friend. And they're trying to contact the friend's, deceased boyfriend, whatever. Just the story where the teacher says that she breaks the Ouija board and she sees some type of smoke going through this girl's nose and mouth. I think that's just there. It's fucking eerie. Like, and then the girl passed away, man. Like she passed away. Now it's noted, like in her case, that when she was alive after this incident, she was reporting she reported seeing evil spirits, evil shadows. What do you think it is? What do you think evil shadows mean?
I think maybe playing with that Ouija board might have opened up something. Like they say, portals open up when you play with those things. And maybe it might have followed her home. So it might not have been the boyfriend she might be seeing, but she might be something a bit more, I would say, demonic.
I think so, because like I said, they were trying to contact not her boyfriend. It was her friend's deceased boyfriend. But just when, like they said, when the teacher broke the Ouija board and she saw smoke going through her, I think that was the moment she got possessed. Now, there were studies that they were done to this girl because, like I told you, she was like hallucinating things. She even started to have seizures, which are all the same things that you get when you're possessed.
Yeah.
Of course, they always, tend to go with, the scientific side, which is it's a seizure, it's hallucinations. But in reality, I think how this all ended, and if you see the movie, she was possessed. She was possessed by this Ouija board, and the family had to move. They actually, they sold the house, and then You want to hear something crazy?
Wow.
So they sell the house. The house is put on the market. This happens in the 1991 when I think in 91 when they put the house for sale because they couldn't sleep in there. Like they kept hearing stuff. People would be not people, but something was like pulling them at night. Like a lot of shit was happening in this house. So they put the house in the market. They tried to sell the house.
Yeah.
But the case was so famous in Spain that no one wanted to buy the house. I mean, at the time, I think the house when it actually sold, it sold for like I don't know how much money under the actual value of the house because no one wanted to live in there. A lot of people would visit the house and be in the outside, taking pictures and things like that, but no one wanted to live inside that house. The family that buys the house, I think they lasted less than 5 months inside that house. As soon as they moved in, they started reporting the same things. A lot of people say that, they were just trying to use it to, for their advantage, for the media and things like that they were reporting all this. But the lady that bought the house, like the mom, she was like, yeah, we're not trying to, get in the media's eye or try to make any money out of this. Like, we saw the opportunity, we're a low-income family. This house or so, at a very manageable price. That's why we decided to buy it.
Yeah.
And within like the first week, I think, they started to like hear shit, see shit. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of their kids was actually sleeping in this room, bro, in Estefania's room. And they would say like the most activity would come out from that room. So I think it was like 4 or 5 months, and yeah, they left the house. Now today, I don't know if that house is actually, off for sale or if someone's actually living in there. Now, can you imagine? We're in 2026 right now, right? And there's a family that actually bought the house not knowing what happens in the house, and one day, oh, let's watch something on Netflix. Boom, you put the movie of Veronica.
Let's watch Ouija.
And then you see that the house you're living in is actually the house, where all this happened.
Man, I think they'd be scared. I think after that, they'd start hearing and seeing things.
I think they wouldn't even have to watch the movie to hear something. I think whoever lived in there, left, man. Like I said, I don't know if someone lives in there right now, but I think this is one of the most disturbing 911 calls that I saw on the list, when we were creating this episode.
Yeah.
Because like your story, it's not just, something that, they're haunting or poltergeist going on. Like, people died in the stories.
Yeah.
In your story, the mom passes away. She commits suicide. In this story, the young girl passed away. I think she was 18 years old. And she passed away of unknown reasons. That's what they put on the report. It was just stated as an unknown reasons. So I really feel that, this is, we're just starting, man. This is what, the second story we're talking about?
Yeah.
And we already had 2 people passed away in this stories. It's crazy.
Now, do you remember 3 years ago in Las Vegas, a boy made a 911 call stating that he saw something in his backyard?
I think everyone heard that. I think that story was all over social media.
Well, the story goes like this. So this little boy named Angel, I want to say about his teenage years, gives a call that he heard something crash in his backyard. So he steps outside, and as he's on the phone with 911 officers, he says that he sees something about 10 feet tall with big eyes. Now, we don't know exactly what it was. Officers get there, but they search the place. They can't see anything. Now, outside, of course, there was reports. An officer had already given a call in.
Oh yeah, I remember. That was the crazy thing about this incident. I think before the boy calls, there's an officer that's like on a break or something, and he actually sees something falling from the sky and literally landing in Las Vegas. He calls it in, something just fell from the sky. And I don't know if it's like 2 or 5 minutes later. I think that's when this boy calls it in, right?
Yeah. So this phone call goes in. The little boy starts frantically saying that there's somebody or something about 10 feet tall in his backyard, between 8 to 10 feet tall. But he said that there's 2 creatures out there. One of them is right outside peeking around, and the other one is still inside of whatever crashed in his backyard. So this boy and his family, they call 911, as I said, frantically speaking about this issue. Officers get there and they find nothing. What they do find is a big circular indent in the ground in their backyard. So as strange as it is, what do you think it might be?
I mean, if you really, really, really want to say what it is, I think it's a UFO.
Well, they are in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, I mean, Area 51 is like, what, a couple minutes from there? Because I used to think, I don't know why, I used to think Area 51 was actually in Roswell, New Mexico. And then I came to find out that Area 51 is actually in Vegas, in Nevada, right? It's the state is Nevada?
Yeah.
I think that's where Area 51 is. But I remember when that happened. I remember, I don't know what I was doing that day, but I remember, the story started playing all over social media. Now, the crazy thing to this story was there's actually video. There's video from the boy who's on the call, and I don't know if he's recording with another cell phone. There's video from the, what's it called, the police officers. You know how they have a camera?
Yeah.
There's video from them as well. And the call, like if you hear the call, I think we have the call. I think we can get the call. Let's see if we can play a little bit of the call so the people listening right now can hear how it sounds.
Okay, what's going on over there?
Okay, lady. Me, my dad, and my brother, we're working on a truck in our backyard, and we have a big lot outside, right? Correct?
Okay.
We were working, and we just see in a corner of our eye something fall down from the sky, and it was with light. And when it hit down, it was like a big impact, and we felt it. We felt like an energy, and then we hear like a lot of footsteps near us, and then we have a big equipment, and we see, and there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one beside it, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
When you hear the boy talking in this call, it doesn't sound like he's playing, man.
No, he sounds scared.
Yes, he sounds scared, bro. Like he sounds like there's something literally walking in his backyard. Now, I see the video because he says there's something that just crossed the fence or something like that. He mentions something, right? But what gets me is how he says it's about 10 feet tall, 8 to 10 feet tall if I'm not mistaken, and it has big eyes.
Oh man. See, things like that, especially out there, can be quite eerie at night.
Yeah.
Hearing a loud crash like that, then seeing that, of course you're gonna think it's an alien. Well, maybe something mysterious like that. But what if it would have gone into the home?
Not just what if it went into the home. I mean, the most frightening part is you have this boy calling 911, reporting this incident in his house. But at the same time, you had a police officer report that he saw something fall from the sky and landed in Las Vegas. Like now you have, different people in the city reporting the same thing. So it's not a prank call. This boy's not playing around. I don't think, the boy and the police officer got together and said, let's prank Las Vegas, let's prank the world. I don't think that was the case. I think something really landed in his backyard. I really think UFOs are real. That's all I can say. Like I've had my experiences. I had my shares with, seeing shit in the sky. Where I want to say with the incidents I've had. And in other episodes, I think we have, the UFO episode.
Yeah.
I spoke about some of the incidents I witnessed. I know there's something out there for a fact. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people know there's something out there. I mean, not so many years ago, I think the U.S. government just, unleashed all these files of UFOs.
Yeah, they actually did. Told us they were all real, told us what they were, told us that they're out there, which is why Donald Trump created the Space Force.
Yeah, that is true. Now going back to the case, after the incident, what happened?
See, after the incident, they of course had interviews with the family, especially the son. His name was Angel, to ask him what was going on. People try to debunk it, trying to see if it's fake or anything like that. Unfortunately, they still don't know if it's real or it's fake. But the family really does believe what they saw.
I just remember that when this happened, I don't know, it was like the next day, they posted like a picture of the kid's backyard and you could see a dent in the backyard.
Yeah, the dent that was reported by the officers.
Yeah, you could see it in the backyard. And like I say, I don't think it's fake, bro. I don't think it's fake because you have an officer, reporting something fell from the sky. We heard the call, we heard the voice of the boy, It doesn't sound like he's playing around.
No, UFOologists, or whatever they're called,
Yeah.
they also reported green lights coming down through Utah to Nevada. So it might have been that as well.
When this happened, I remember there was a bunch of people in town reporting, that they had seen something in the sky, and not just in Las Vegas. I think like surrounding cities from Las Vegas or some other places, they reported they saw something come into the atmosphere. So, I mean, shit, imagine you're in your house, watching TV, and you hear that loud bang in your backyard. You go outside and you see something like this.
And imagine you can't see exactly what it is, because he saw a silhouette, a tall, dark silhouette between 8 to 10 feet.
And calling 911, because a lot of people, sometimes they see something and they don't want to report it because why?
They don't want to seem crazy.
Yeah, they're going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to create, some chaos in the city, or I'm going to get a bunch of people outside my house trying to take pictures. And I mean, I don't think he hesitated in calling 911. I think he did it based out of fear.
Yeah. Maybe he thought that the sound of the crash was something normal, like things happen. Vehicles crash into homes sometimes, things like that. So maybe he thought it might have been something like that. But then going outside and started, tripping out because you see something that tall with big eyes just looking at you, looking around your yard. Now I think that is weird. It's crazy.
What do you think is the outcome of this for the boy or the family? I mean, as the boy, you see this happening in your house, an alien or a UFO just crashed in your backyard. Will you ever be able to sleep at night in that house?
No, it's said that they're traumatized because of that incident.
Yeah.
So now imagine now every single day you think something's out in your backyard or around your house looking at you. Because of course, you might have landed there accidentally. You don't know what exactly happened or what landed. But imagine the traumatization of you having that happen in your home. And now you think it might be watching you all the time.
I had never heard. I've heard reports of people, who have reported abductions and things like that. I mean, those reports have started since, I think, the early 50s. Or I think there was what was it called? The husband and the wife. I forget their names.
Yeah, when they were driving. And
they got abducted. I think that's the first time, that it got reported to the U.S. that someone got abducted here by aliens. But like I said, I've heard those type of stories, where people report getting abducted or just seeing lights in the sky. But I don't think I had ever heard, especially, in our time right now.
Yeah.
Someone reporting, hey, something just landed in my backyard and I see something that's 10 foot tall, big eyes. Like, I really think with the description he gave, I think it's an alien. Like, to me, I think anyone who heard this case, that was the first thing you would think, no? It's an alien.
Yeah.
Because I remember I had a friend that told me, well, what if it was, just a man trying to break in, and I was like, no, man, 10 feet tall. This kid reported it was something that was between 8 to 10 feet tall, and it had big eyes. You said that, right?
Yes.
I think it was an alien. I mean, that's my guess. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think the exact same thing, man. An alien, a visitor from outer space, as they say.
Mm-hmm. You heard the bang, you go outside, and the first thing you see is something, a creature.
Yeah.
10-foot creature. Well, I say creature, right? But he doesn't describe it as a creature, right? He said it was like a big shadow or something like that, no?
Yeah, a big black silhouette.
With big eyes. That's all I remember hearing. But you see, the funny thing is, well, that's what happens nowadays. You hear something crazy like this, and then boom, the next day you have another crazy story, and it just starts fading away.
Oh yeah, of course. We live in a time where everything is being reported because of all the phones and cameras and things like that. So stories like this kind of just get swept under a rug after a while.
I think, actually, look, I'm gonna double check.
It was the streak seen across the sky, now seen around the world.
Yeah.
This is our 8 News.
So yeah, like just looking at the videos, there's videos. I mean, there's actual videos where you can kind of see something falling from the sky. Like literally, it looks like, when the meteor showers, it looks like that.
Yeah, it was reported. Like I said, UFOologists reported it from Utah.
Yeah.
That they saw a green streak of light falling towards the ground, and then it fell in Nevada.
I mean, it came out in different news stations. It came out, like I said, all over social media. I don't think it was a joke. I don't think it was a prank. I think for that one, I stick with I think it's true.
I also think it's true.
So this next story, right? This next call to the police that I have, this 911 call that I have, it actually didn't happen here. It happened in Mexico. Now, I wanted to add this one to the episode. I didn't get the story, from a police officer or the person, receiving the call in dispatch. This is actually a friend of the family that used to work in the ambulance service over there in Monterrey, in Mexico. And this story was told to me, I want to say like 10 years ago, bro. Like almost 10 years ago. And I've never talked about this story, on any of our episodes. But, on this episode, we're doing Supernatural 911 calls. I was like, you know what? I think it goes perfectly.
Yeah.
So this person used to work in the ambulance services for Mexico for years. I'm talking about maybe 20 plus years. He was a paramedic in Mexico.
Okay.
And mind you, when he arrived at the scene, everything had unfolded already. So I'm gonna start, from the beginning, and then we'll jump into his experience. Dispatch in Mexico gets a call from an apartment complex about a neighbor reporting that about a person reporting that their neighbors are having maybe a dispute or like an argument.
Yeah.
And he's saying on the phone that sent an officer because I think something bad is happening or is about to happen. I hear my neighbor, she's a woman, she's screaming in distress, like she's screaming like for her life. And I can hear like a deep voice of a man screaming, that he wants to kill her, he wants to do something to her. And the man, making the call, he's like, hurry up, like something's happening. There's a lot of noises, like it sounds like something's getting broken inside the apartment. And he tells the police all this, all these details.
Okay.
When the police arrive to the apartment complex, the man is standing outside his apartment, and he literally tells him it's that room right there. It's like next to me. So the officer goes to the door, knocks twice, lets him know, it's the police. The officer just hears, screams in there, like screams, like the girl screaming for her life. So they knock harder, and they're trying to ask, can we come in? Can we come in? And they're trying to get a response, but they can hear like a man's voice screaming things. Like, I don't know exactly what the man was screaming, but no one's answering the police officers. They can only hear the screams in there. So they take it upon themselves. We're gonna have to kick the door down. Like whatever's happening, it's bad.
Yeah.
This lady is you can hear her agony. So they kick the door down. And when they kick the door down, there's a lady just standing on the hallway looking towards the door. And she's just smiling. So the officer's reaction is like, what the fuck is this? Like outside of the apartment, we heard all this crazy shit. And here we have a lady smiling with blood on her hands and on her face. So, the first reaction is to, let's get this lady out of the apartment. We're pretty sure the man isn't here, the one, who caused the cuts or whatever to this lady. So they take the lady, and as they're taking the lady, they ask her, where is he? Where is he? And she looks at them and tells them, where's who? The man, whoever's hurting you, where is he? And she says, there's no one in here, it's just me. So in their head, it's like, well, maybe she doesn't want to tell us, someone else is in here, or it's a boyfriend or whatever. Or maybe, the guy told her, if you say something, I'm going to kill you. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they take her outside of the apartment. They search the whole apartment, man. Every room, closets, under beds, everywhere. There's no one in the apartment. And this lady's just sitting outside with a blanket on. And she's just smiling. She was just sitting there smiling. And she had cuts on her hands, on her face. She had blood, like... As they're searching the apartment, they see on the walls kind of like crucifixes made with blood. And different like sentences, but they couldn't make the sentences. They didn't understand in the moment what it was. They took pictures, to have kind of like a document of everything that happened in the apartment, but they don't understand what they're looking at.
Yeah.
They just see there's like a pattern of words, but they don't know what the words mean. And they see the like crucifixes on the walls. Now, all the apartment is all like messed up. Like there's drawers on the floor. There's like broken glass. Like it's just like someone went crazy in there.
Yeah.
They say that it looked like, when they go into a house and they do like a robbery and people just, mess up the house for fun. That's how it looked.
Damn.
So when my family's friend arrived, the first thing, they're trained to do is, give help. So they put the lady in the ambulance, and he's asking her, procedural questions. Are you okay? What's your name? Just to make sure, she's there.
Yeah.
And she's just looking at him, telling him, my name is so-and-so. What are you guys looking for in the apartment? And he tells her, well, ma'am, I don't know, I'm just trying to, take care of you. I see, there's cuts on your hands. I'm going to try to, help you out. I don't know what the officers are actually looking for. We just arrived.
Yeah.
And she tells him, there's no one in the apartment. It's only me. He says that when she's talking to him, her face, out of it, she was looking at him, but her eyes were like, he made this comment that it actually gives me like chills, man. He says, it felt like if her eyes weren't her eyes.
She was getting a blank stare.
Yeah. Like the stare in her face wasn't her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like her face didn't match the eyes that she had. Like it was someone else looking at me. Like it just felt weird. So when they're doing the report, they're like, well, we have to take her in, to the hospital to get checked from the head, make sure, she doesn't have any trauma to the head or things like that.
Yeah.
And as they put her in the ambulance, she keeps saying the same thing over and over and over. There's no one in the apartment. Like, it was only me. It was only me. It was only me. So they ask her, ma'am, are you causing yourself, this damage? Like, did you cut yourself? And she's like, no, I didn't cut myself. Well, if you didn't cut yourself, who cut you? And she says, he cut me. And everybody's just staring at each other, like, ma'am, you just said there was no one in the apartment. When this conversation is happening, the ambulance had just left the house.
Yeah.
So they're driving to the hospital. You have a driver and you have two paramedics in the back talking to her. One's taking the report and the other one, I guess, is cleaning her cuts and all this.
Yeah.
So that's when they ask her, like, who cut you? Now, when she says, he cut me, the paramedics tell her, ma'am, you just said, there was no one in the house with you. What do you mean he cut you? And she says, I'm not lying. He's not in the house. He's here with us. And right there and then, everyone in that ambulance, like the paramedics said, they just fucking felt the chills. Because the way she said, he's here with us. Like, I'm not lying. Like, there's no one in the apartment, but he's here with us. And then she starts laughing and laughing. And then she tries to get up from the, the little beds they have in the ambulance.
The stretcher?
Yeah, the stretcher. And she's trying to open the door to jump out of the ambulance. So they have to literally restrain her on the bed so she won't, try to jump or do any harm to herself. So as they're driving to the hospital, she starts screaming, like loud screams. And in her screams, her voice tone starts to change a bit. So her screams sound like the scream of a woman. And then they start going into the screams of a man. And then that's when like the real shit starts to happen.
Yeah.
The voice of a man starts to come out telling them to let him go. Because if they didn't let him go, what he's doing to that woman, he's gonna do to them. And they're just panicking. One of the paramedics starts praying, man. That's how crazy it got. They say that the lights inside the ambulance, they started to like flicker. They started to like go out, and that the driver of the ambulance is kind of hearing all this shit, so he's panicking as well. He's like going faster, and that the voice of the man that's coming out of the lady starts screaming, go faster, so you can all meet me. They start screaming at the guy like, hey man, go slower, like just watch yourself, don't listen to whatever he's saying or she's saying, don't listen. And it just starts getting intense, and then it starts speaking in another language, a language that they say they didn't understand. Like, it was something that he kept saying, but they couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Latin. A lot of people say that sometimes when they talk like that, it's like Latin, but they didn't know what it was. They didn't know what they was saying. Like, they just knew it was something fucking bad. As they're going, they're they're trying to talk to the girl.
Yeah.
Like, ma'am, relax. You're gonna be okay. Like, God's watching you. And that the man's talking like, no, God's not gonna save this soul. Like, this is mine already. Like, she's mine. So they start panicking. And what, like really made it worse for them was he looks at one of the paramedics and calls him by the name, calls him Saul. And no one like told the lady their name. Like, this lady just blurred out the name in a man's voice, right?
Yeah.
So they end up, arriving. When they get off the ambulance, they bring her down from the stretcher. As soon as they're coming into the hospital, the lady starts crying. Like, crying. And she's asking for help. She's saying that for a week, this thing doesn't let her go. This thing has her, like, kidnapped in the apartment. And for someone to please help her out. And she kept asking, like, please pray for me. Please get me a priest. Get someone to help me. It's the devil. Like, she kept saying it's the devil.
Damn.
And inside the hospital, but they have to put her down. Like, they have to, like, put some, like, kind of not a tranquilizer, but something to, like, relax her. Like, she's fucking going nuts, right?
Yeah.
So they finally put her to sleep in the hospital. So she's resting. They're trying to see if she has a family members, anyone they can call. They don't find anyone. And as this is all unfolding inside the hospital, a man that was, I don't know if he was like seeing his daughter, someone in there, worked at a church. So he comes into the room and he sees what's kind of happening, and he starts praying next to the bed. Like, he starts praying, and the paramedics and the staff from the hospital are just by the door, and they're watching this man just, praying and praying and praying. And the lady's just like kind of like moaning, because she's already like kind of asleep, but she's kind of like moaning, and the paramedics just take off. They just leave. So 2 days later, the friend from the family, he told us that after those 2 days, that's when he speaks to his friend who's a police officer, and told them the story that when they walk into the apartment, it was just a lady standing laughing, like smiling at them. He tells them about everything that they saw on the walls.
Yeah.
He told them how in the rooms, like, everything was all messed up. Then he tells them the story of the ambulance. So they do a checkup. Well, 3 days later, like, the lady's still at the hospital, and now she wakes up and she doesn't remember anything. Like, nothing at all. She doesn't remember what happened that night. She doesn't remember, she being hurt. She doesn't remember the story that she said, where she said that, something was taking control of her. She didn't even remember that story.
Oh, man.
The lady gets out of the hospital and she goes back to her apartment, and they assign like one of the officers, like an officer from the city, to go with her to the apartment. Him and another two officers, right? When they get to the apartment and they open the door to her apartment, everything's normal inside the apartment. Like, there was no glass on the floor. Like, if someone went and cleaned everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she walks in like nothing, bro.
Yeah.
She said, like, they say she walks into the apartment like nothing. And they're like, ma'am, when we came for you, like, everything was broken. And she still doesn't remember anything. She doesn't remember anything. But everything that was wrong in that apartment, like everything that was on the floor, everything was like nothing happened.
Oh, man.
They spoke to the neighbor, because the neighbor gave his, he was the one that called and gave the officers, the information of what he heard and everything. And they asked him, did you hear anything previous days? He says, no. This lady works in the grocery store here in Mexico. I see her in the mornings go out. I see her at night when she comes in. It had been a week that I hadn't seen her. But I didn't make anything of her. We were really not that close. We don't talk that much. It was just that day that I heard the noises. When they won't go to the man again, they ask him, hey, do you know if anyone came to the apartment? He's like, where? To your neighbor's apartment. The day you called us, this happened. He's like, no one has come. Like, no one was here. They're like, it's clean. Like, it's super clean. Like, someone came in there and fixed everything. He's like, I haven't seen anyone. But he remembered everything, though. The neighbor still remembered everything that happened. Like, all the noises, everything here. It happened. How? I don't know if the prayer fixed something. I don't know what happened, man. Like, it's like a fucking mystery.
Oh, man. Hopefully it did. Like, you know what's crazy? Going back and everything being clean. Like, was the wall clean? Was all that stuff clean?
Everything was
too?
back to normal. That's what he told us.
Like, if nothing happened.
Everything was back to normal. There was no words on the walls. There was exactly like if nothing happened. Who did that? I don't know. Can you imagine being in an ambulance with a person like that?
Oh, man. No, I'm quite superstitious.
Yeah.
So I would automatically think it's a possession.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the first thing. Because, one of the things they were saying was that maybe she's a schizophrenic, but she didn't have any records on her that she, suffered from anything, any mental illnesses or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is how when she gets out of the hospital and they go back to her apartment, everything's back to normal.
She goes back and like nothing.
Like
happened.
nothing. Oh, and that's the other mystery. She doesn't remember anything. But in the hospital, she starts crying and telling them, help me. Like, I need help. Whatever had her for 7 days. So this next 911 call, I saved it for the end because I think from everything we've spoken today, I think this is the craziest one. I think if you really want to look for a supernatural call,
Yeah.
for the 911, I think this is it. Just imagine this. You're the 911 dispatcher. Call comes in and you go, 911, state your emergency. And the first thing you hear is, my son's crawling on the wall.
Oh.
Imagine, like, that's the first thing they told the 911 dispatcher. My son is walking on the wall. Immediately, they start asking questions, what's going on? And this lady that's calling, she's like, we've been having all these occurrences at the house. My kids are acting wild, but not wild and like, they're misbehaving. No, they're very aggressive. And my son is literally walking on the wall. This happened in a town called Gary, Indiana. To get everything, so you can kind of know what I'm talking about, or the house I'm talking about. It's actually a very famous house. They actually call this house Demon House. Demon House got very famous because I don't know if you ever heard about Zach Bagans. He's the guy from Ghost Adventures. Ghost Adventures. That's the program. Yeah. So there's actually an episode where he talks about this house, and they call it Demon House.
Yeah.
How it was, filled with not just one demon, a bunch of demons. He actually bought the property back in 2014. They made a documentary about the property, and then in 2016, I don't know what was going on in his life, but something was going bad. They actually destroyed the house.
Oh, damn.
Nowadays, they say you can only go and see like the land. There's no house, there's nothing built. And a lot of people, they still go, people in the paranormal societies, they go, they visit, try to do investigations. But going back to, that 911 call.
Yeah.
So the lady calls and says, my son is walking on the walls. And we're having all these things happening in the house. We need help. So they send off dispatch, they send off the police. Police arrive to the house and they start, witnessing some awful things inside the house. That's the first thing they witness is the kids.
Yeah.
They had 2 kids and the kids are acting wild. Like they're just breaking shit. They're trying to attack the officer, so they have to like literally put them in handcuffs. I think a doctor witnessed all that. They actually had to call the CPS because they thought it might be something provoked by the same parents.
Yeah.
And the kids were just going crazy inside the house. Now, when this started to happen, if I'm not mistaken, I have the date here. It was in 2011, 2012. The family, they're called the Ammons family. They're the ones that reported what was going on. Before the report, the 911 call, they said that in their house, they had seen swarms of flies, like on a daily basis. They would see a lot of flies inside the house. They would hear ghostly footsteps. And that it all went into the kids, starting to act violent and having like very violent physical behavior.
Yeah.
So when the police came, like I told you, they saw the kids, going crazy. They had to literally put them on handcuffs. They assigned them like a case manager from the CPS because at first, so when the police gets there, the first time, it's not like, like in the Spain one where they got there and they saw, things move. No, they didn't see any, supernatural stuff. They just saw 2 kids, acting violently and wild. So the kids, I guess, came back to it. And they got assigned a caseworker so he can be visiting the house and, checking what was going on. The mom told the police officers, that all these strange occurrences were happening. Swarms of flies, that they were hearing noises at night, footsteps, growls. And one of the things that she reported was that they would feel like someone would scratch them at night. And they would wake up with scratches. And I think that was actually the reason why they got a caseworker, because one of the kids, or the 2 kids, had a bunch of scratches like on their faces and on their backs. So, the first thing, the officers thought was the mom or the dad are probably abusing the children.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. So as the case starts to unfold, the caseworker is doing, daily visits just to make sure, everything's okay with the kids. Like the parents aren't, doing anything bad to the kids. One of the visits that the caseworker does, she's talking to the kids. And she reports that something slapped her as she's talking to the kids.
Oh, damn.
So she's talking to the kids. I don't know if she's asking them, questions or whatever.
Yeah.
And she says that someone or something slapped her. And when that happens, the kids start laughing. And the kids tell her they don't want you here. and that they're laughing and they're looking around her, and they're telling her like they don't want you here, meaning like they, the one standing next to you. So the lady gets fucking scared. She gets out of the house. She makes a call to the police. They come in because I mean that was like the only source I guess she thought of at the time. And she mentioned, someone just slapped me. And they asked her, was it the parent? Was it the kid? She's like, no. Like something slapped me and there was nothing around me. So as they're doing this, the ambulance come. They call the ambulance, just to check on the lady. And I don't know if they're inside or on the porch of the house. One of the windows opens up like by itself.
Yeah.
And they say that they started to hear like kind of like an eerie laugh, and then like in a deep tone, like go away, like go away. They were telling them go away. Mind you, at the time,
yeah,
the kids are there, the mom's there, the officers there, the ambulance, the paramedics are with the caseworker. So there's no one like in the house. I think they were outside the house when that happened. So that's when they find out like, oh shit, like we do have something going on in this house. From there, the reports start coming in. Like the people around town start finding out, oh shit, like all this is happening in this house, and they release the address. So a bunch of people start going to the house just to visit the house to the outside. It got to the point where even the mom was like, hey, I can't have, all these people outside my house. Or, she would go to a grocery store and people were questioning her about, it's probably you the one hitting the kids and things like that.
Yeah.
It got to the point where they had to look for like some help from the church. So they go to this man, I think, let me see if I have that. Yeah. Reverend Michael Maganet. They go to him. He goes to the house. He performs an exorcism on the house, not on the kids, on the house. And his conclusion was this house is plagued with demons. And as he's doing his exorcism on the house, as he's trying to, clean out the house, like a bunch of shit starts happening in the house. A bunch of shit. Like things start falling off, like a bunch of noises start to happen, like a bunch of shit starts happening in the house. When he tries to tries to clean out the house, he basically tells the family, like, nah, your best bet is to leave this house.
Yeah.
Now going back to when they get the call, the 911 call, right? And they say, my son's walking on the wall. When the police officers arrive, the kids are acting violently, but they're not on the wall, like they mentioned, right? Yeah. So they ask the lady, and she's like, come. And she shows them like the wall where he was supposedly walking, and there's like prints on the wall of the feet and the hands, like if it was crawling on the fucking wall. Mm-hmm. Now, like I told you, this house got super famous when that guy from Ghost Adventures went, Zach Bagans. He went and purchased the house in 2014. This family lived in the house from 2011 to 2012. When he purchased the house, I remember I saw an episode where they're in the house and they're talking outside the house. You know how every episode, I don't know, have you ever seen Ghost Adventures?
Yes.
So every time they do an episode, they usually, stand outside the property they're gonna go into, and they're like, and this place behind me, this and this happened, da 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 da. Today we're gonna go in there and do whatever, right? So as they're doing their introduction to the place, they don't notice it there. But as they go through the tapes, I think, they see like a silhouette of a man standing on the window and another silhouette of a man standing at the door. And I don't know if they show it on the program or after that program aired, like someone caught that and they started like to put the pictures. Yeah. But like there was someone standing like on the window or on the window and on the door or vice versa, I don't know. But someone was there.
What I recall of that episode is that when they were inside, he put that machine that shows you the there's a machine that shows you where there's people standing.
Yeah.
I remember from what I recall that he put that and there was like 5 or 6 beings standing around there. They were moving. One was on a couch. It would stand up. One was in the hallway. And from there, he of course tells everybody, there's somebody here. There's a few entities here. I don't think he knew it was demons yet. I thought to him it was just spirits.
Yeah.
But you can hear where he does his recordings on the show, where he goes back and he hears voices in the recordings.
look, like this is one of the pictures I was mentioning. I'm gonna show it to you, and we're gonna show it here so they can see it. Where you can clearly see someone
man.
standing on the fucking window.
Yeah.
They say that's one of the most haunted. Well, it doesn't exist anymore, right? Because they knocked the house down. But at its time, they would say it was one of the most haunted homes in America. Now imagine, I mean, everything starts with that 911 call. You know, my son's walking on the wall. I can just imagine that shit. Little did the police know, you know, what they were dealing with, or the town, because at the end of the day, it became well known around the world. I want to say that house, especially after, you know, everything that happened, and it was on that show on Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
But I want to remember the whole episode, but I know I saw it. But you know what? It wasn't like one of those episodes, if I'm not mistaken. It was like a full-on documentary about the house that he created. And that's where I think what you're saying comes out.
Yeah.
But I remember they get to the house, and I don't know if it's one of his friends or someone in the group that are going, like, instantly gets like the vibe of, hey man, something's off for you. Like, something's off. I know it's right like in the beginning of the show, or before they even go into the house, that someone says that, like, something's off. And if you see the video, like in the documentary, when they're walking through the house, like just the walkthrough alone of the house, that fucking house looks fucking haunted. Like the outside of the house, you look at it, it's a nice, well, I don't want to say it's a nice, but it's like a little white house. Like you wouldn't expect, I want to say, by seeing the house through the outside, that it was so bad in there, that it was that bad.
No, but I'm sure it looks like just a regular home. And through the photograph, it looks like a pretty nice home. It has a porch inside.
Yeah.
And everything. Like,
Because, you know, you've seen the pictures of like the Amityville house,
yeah.
or even the Conjuring house. They look fucking haunted. Like you just see the house and you're like, ah, this place is fucking haunted.
Yeah.
This house, like, you wouldn't think that. It looks like your ordinary, you know, house. But yeah, it was crazy. And the crazy part was, it wasn't just one demon. It was mentioned by the reverend that went into the house that it was plagued with demons. If you guys want to check it out, you can go on YouTube or on Google and just, you know, search the Gary home. You could just put it like that, or demon home, and it comes out. The demon house, and you'll find it. Like, you'll see it. I know there's a bunch of documentaries and a bunch of videos about the house nowadays, but yeah, they took it down.
Man, I wonder if once they left, it all stopped for them.
So I heard of people that actually go to the property itself, and they've said that you can still feel something. You can still, you know, feel something in the property itself. I remember, and I'll send a shout out to Raymond. We spoke about this house a long time ago, and it was in our episode of Haunted Houses.
Yeah, I remember.
And Raymond actually spoke about this house. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say that when Zach Bagans bought this house, something started to happen to him. I don't know if he became ill. I don't know what happened. Something happened that led him to the decision of destroying the house. Because I remember, you know, he mentioned that they purchased, and it's true, he purchased the house in 2014. He actually has a big ass museum in Vegas where he has a bunch of, you know, the stuff from all the different places he's visited.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he wanted to purchase this house to, you know, turn it into something or whatnot, but he destroyed the house. Every one of those calls ended the same way. Police arrived, reports were written, cases were closed. But that doesn't mean they were explained. Because somewhere in a backyard in Las Vegas, a family still swears something was watching them. The question isn't whether these calls are real. They were. I think the real question is, what was on the other end of the line when these calls were being made? If you out there, you know, ever heard a story about an unexplained call made to the 911, let us know. Send us your story. Remember, Beyond the Darkness podcast, you can send us a message through Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and we'll talk about it. I'm pretty sure we're going to end up having another episode like this, a part 2, because like I told you, when we were going through the list, we had plenty, right?
Yes, sir.
We had plenty. We ended up choosing this 4 because we think, you know, they were the craziest ones. I mean, in one, like we just said, someone said something landed in their backyard. They saw something that was 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
Big eyes. On another one, we got a lady calling 911 telling them my son's walking in the walls. Then you go to Spain, where they're calling that a full-on poltergeist is happening in the house after their daughter died, which she was possessed. And then we got the story of the mom, man. That one's the one that hits. Loses her boy. Yeah, she loses her boy. Gets a call from the boy.
From beyond the grave.
From beyond the grave. And ends up, taking her own life. These are some crazy calls, that 911 dispatchers sometimes have to take.
Yeah.
I hope you can sleep tonight. But till next time, this is
Beyond the Darkness podcast.
El Más Allá de la Oscuridad.